Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Rewind, where we bring you the absolute wildest, most insane stories from Reddit. Today, oh man, today we've got 3 stories that'll make your jaw drop. First up, a guy whose best friend nearly drowns him in a flooded river, then has the audacity to sue him for $50,000. Then, a man gets falsely accused of being a child predator by his entire neighborhood because of a psychotic conspiracy theorist. And finally, a woman tries to scam millions from a dead man's estate using a kid that is literally biologically impossible to be his. I'm not making any of this up. These are real Reddit posts from real people. So smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive into the absolute chaos. Okay, story number 1 comes from r/legal advice, and the title alone made me think, there's no way this is real. But it is. It's titled, "My friend nearly killed me by driving into a flooded river. Now he's suing me because I got out of the car." Yeah, let that sink in. So, we've got our guy, we'll call him Dave, and his friend Aaron. They've been buddies for years, good friends, right? One day, Aaron buys some car parts on eBay, needs to pick them up, asks Dave to come along for the ride. Dave says, sure, why not? They drive out to this property, somewhere in rural Australia, apparently, through some back roads. They pick up the parts, load them in the car, everything cool. But here's where things go wrong. It had been raining, like pouring rain, all day. They're driving back and they come to this causeway, like a low bridge that goes over a river. Well, this causeway is now completely flooded. We're talking half a meter of water, that's like 1.5 feet, covering the entire road. Dave takes one look at this and is like, nope, absolutely not. And he has good reason to be scared. 20 years ago, Dave got caught in this exact situation. Flooded causeway, tried to drive through, and his car got pushed off into the river. He almost died. So Dave has literal trauma from this. He knows how dangerous it is. He turns to Aaron and says, dude, we need to turn around. There's another route. It's longer, but it's safe. There's a bridge. Aaron looks at the water, looks at Dave, and you know what this absolute moron says? Nah, we can make it. No. You cannot, Aaron. So Aaron starts moving the car forward toward the flooded causeway. Dave is panicking. He's having full-on flashbacks to nearly dying 20 years ago. He's seeing his life flash before his eyes. And this is more water than what he went through before. So Dave makes a split-second decision. He opens the car door and bails. Just straight up gets out of the moving car before it hits the water. Now Dave is a big guy. He weighs 130 kilograms, that's about 286 pounds. He's a hefty dude. But Aaron's car is a 1997 Holden Commodore wagon. That's a big Australian station wagon. The car weighs 1,650 kilograms, over 3,600 pounds, plus a couple hundred kilograms of car parts in the back. So Dave's weight, it's not making any difference at all. But Aaron doesn't care. He's committed now. He keeps driving. Dave is standing on the side of the road, watching in horror as his friend drives into the flood. And what happens next is exactly what Dave knew would happen. Aaron doesn't even make it halfway. The water is too strong, it catches the side of the car, pushes it completely off the causeway, the car rolls over, like full barrel roll, and ends up upright on the riverbank 50 meters downstream. Aaron is lucky to be alive. Dave runs down immediately, pulls Aaron out of the wreckage. The guy is soaking wet, probably in shock, but he's breathing. Aaron is furious. He's aggressive, he's screaming, he's getting in Dave's face. And you know what he says? If you had stayed in the car with your weight, we would have made it across. Let me repeat that. This man nearly drowned himself by ignoring all common sense and driving into a flooded river, and he's blaming his friend, the friend who tried to stop him, the friend who saved him. Because apparently Dave's 30 kilograms would have been the magic difference between making it across and being swept away. even though the car weighs over 3,600 pounds. The math ain't mathing, Aaron. So they call for help. The river goes down after about an hour. They eventually cross the causeway on foot, but they don't speak. Aaron is clearly pissed. Dave is like, what did I do wrong? They go their separate ways. Aaron starts avoiding Dave, won't answer texts, ghosts him at places they usually hang out. Dave figures, okay, friendship's over. It sucks, but whatever. Aaron's being immature. But it gets so much worse. 2 weeks later, Dave gets a letter in the mail from a lawyer. A real lawyer from their town. Dave opens this letter and his heart sinks. The letter is from Aaron. Well, from Aaron's lawyer. And it's demanding $50,000. Pause. Let that number register. $50,000 for the car and for personal damages because Dave made the car unsafe by getting out. Dave is reading this like, this can't be real. This can't be real. The car, the 1997 Commodore, is worth maybe $1,500 on a good day with fresh paint and a prayer. And this dude is demanding $50,000? Dave is freaking out. He goes to Reddit and is like, please tell me I'm not crazy. I'm not legally required to stay in a car when someone's doing something stupid, right? And of course, everyone on Reddit is like, this is the dumbest lawsuit I've ever heard of. But here's the thing. The letter looks legit. It's from a real law firm in their town, real letterhead, real lawyer's name. So Dave is terrified. What if this actually goes to court? What if he has to pay? He goes to a lawyer his parents had used, shows her the letter, and this is where the story takes the most predictable yet satisfying turn. Dave's lawyer takes one look at the letter and says, I have concerns about this. She contacts the law firm that supposedly wrote it, and guess what? They have no idea what she's talking about. Aaron's lawyers aren't his lawyers at all. Aaron faked the entire letter. He took a real law firm's letterhead and wrote himself a fake legal demand letter, which is, by the way, super illegal. It's fraud. It's impersonating a legal professional. It's like 3 different crimes. The real lawyers are pissed. Someone used their name and letterhead to threaten someone? Oh, they're going after Aaron now. Eventually, Aaron admits to Dave that he faked the letter. But it gets even better. Aaron has the absolute audacity to ask Dave to retract his complaint to the law firm. Like, hey man, can you tell them it's all cool? I didn't mean it. Dave's response, and I quote, he told Aaron something that rhymed with, go eat a bag of dicks. Absolutely legendary. Case closed, friendship over. Aaron's probably facing legal trouble for the fake letter. Okay, let's break down the levels of stupidity here. Level 1, driving into a flooded river. Just don't do that, ever. Mother Nature will win, every time. Level 2, blaming your friend for your stupid decision. Level 3, faking a legal letter to sue said friend. Level 4, demanding $50,000 for a car worth $1,500. And level 5, asking your friend to retract the complaint after you tried to scam him. Aaron is walking disaster. Dave is better off without him. And honestly, I hope Aaron learned his lesson, but something tells me he didn't. All right, story number 2. This one's going to make you angry. Our next story comes from r/legal advice. And guys, this one is rough. It's titled, Someone is putting up flyers in my neighborhood saying I'm a child sex offender. Yeah, we're going there. So our guy, we'll call him Mark, just moved into a new neighborhood. It's August, fresh start, new house, excited to settle in. About a week after moving in, Mark's wife is walking home from the train station. She's having a nice evening, probably thinking about what to make for dinner, when she sees something on a telephone pole. A flyer. She gets closer and reads it. It's a warning to the neighborhood that a registered child sex offender has moved into the area. And it has her husband's face on it. Can you imagine? You're walking home and you see your spouse's face on a predator alert flyer? So she gets home, understandably freaking out, and shows Mark. Mark is horrified. He goes online and checks the sex offender registry. And yes, there is someone with his name on the registry, but it's not him. See, Mark's name isn't super rare. It's not John Smith, but it's not Xylophonos Maximus either. It's a normal name that other people could have. But here's the thing. Whoever made these flyers knows it's not the same person. How do we know? Because they took the real sex offender's mugshot, cropped it out, and replaced it with a photo from Mark's LinkedIn profile. Let me paint you a picture of how different these two people are. The real sex offender is a fat white guy in his 60s. Mark is an average-build mixed-race guy who looks black, and he's in his 30s. They look nothing alike. Oh, and by the way, the real offender is on the registry for something absolutely heinous: forcible assault of a child under 13. So this isn't some minor thing. This is serious, life-ruining accusations. Mark immediately calls the police. You know what they say? That sucks, but how do you expect us to find out who's putting them up? I'm sorry, what? Someone is falsely accusing a man of being a child rapist, putting his face all over the neighborhood, and the cops are like, not our problem. Mark is told to just keep taking the flyers down and ignore it. Ignore it. Someone's telling an entire neighborhood you're a child predator, and you're supposed to just ignore it? Mark is rightfully terrified. This isn't just reputation damage. Someone could try to hurt him. Vigilante justice is a real thing. So Mark keeps taking down flyers, but they keep appearing. It's like whack-a-mole, but with your entire reputation on the line. Then one day, a neighbor confronts Mark. Mark is ready to defend himself, maybe even get physical if he has to, when he remembers he has the real offender's page bookmarked on his phone. He shows it to the neighbor. And thank God this neighbor is level-headed. He takes one look, sees they're clearly different people, and immediately apologizes. But here's where it gets interesting. The neighbor says, "I know who's putting up the flyers." Mark is like, "Who?" The neighbor gives him a name. Let's call him Steve. And he describes Steve as kind of a conspiracy nut. Oh, great. A conspiracy theorist. This is going to be fun. Mark should have known from the flyers. They're full of misspellings, random capitalization, the whole paranoid schizophrenic aesthetic. Mark calls the cops again, tells them he knows who's doing it, gives them the name. You know what the cops say this time? Well, being wrong isn't a crime. Just keep taking the flyers down. I'm sorry, what? Being wrong isn't a crime, but libel is, defamation is, harassment is. But the cops don't care. Mark is on his own. But then something unexpected happens. Joe, that's the neighbor who confronted Mark, he's on the co-op board of the building where Steve lives. Joe runs into Steve's sister, Anne, and tells her what's been happening. Anne is mortified. She asks Mark if he'd be willing to meet with her and Joe for coffee before getting police involved. Mark agrees. I mean, what does he have to lose at this point? So they meet up, and guys, the story takes a completely different turn here. Anne explains that Steve is seriously mentally ill. Not like, oh, he believes in conspiracy theories ill. Like clinically diagnosed, needs medication mentally ill. Steve has some form of psychotic disorder. When he's on his meds, he's totally normal, a nice guy even. But his meds haven't been working lately. He's been having episodes. And during one of these episodes, Steve became convinced that Mark was connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that Jeffrey Epstein. In Steve's psychotic mind, Mark was part of some elite pedophile ring and had somehow changed his appearance to avoid detection. It sounds insane because it is insane. That's literally what psychosis does. Anne had mentioned to his doctors that he'd been acting strange, but she didn't realize how bad it had gotten. Mark actually has a family member with a similar condition. He knows what psychotic breaks look like. He knows the person isn't in control during these episodes. So he understands. But understanding doesn't make it okay. His reputation is still destroyed. Here's how it gets resolved. Steve is now in inpatient treatment. He's getting his meds adjusted. After he's released, he'll be in a partial hospitalization program to make sure the meds stay effective. Joe writes a letter explaining the entire situation. It's being delivered to every single resident in Steve's building. He's also reaching out to other co-op boards in nearby buildings, and they agree to distribute the letter too. Anne is posting corrections in all the same places Steve had posted the fake flyers. She's also sliding copies under the doors of all the single-family houses on Mark's block. Anne is genuinely, deeply apologetic. She had no idea things had gotten this bad. Mark decides not to press charges or sue as long as Steve continues getting treatment. And honestly, I respect that. Mark ends the post by saying the resolution made a bigger impression on him than the problem itself. He feels like he picked a good block to live on. Okay, few thoughts. First, shout out to Joe for being an absolute bro. When confronted with evidence he was wrong, he immediately apologized and went above and beyond to fix it. That's rare. Second, can we talk about those cops? Being wrong isn't a crime, really? I wonder what happened if someone put up flyers saying that cop was a predator, but they'd find a law being broken real quick. Third, I'm glad Steve is getting help. Mental illness is serious, but Mark could have been seriously hurt. Vigilante justice is real. Someone could have attacked him. This could have ended so much worse. All right, final story, and this one involves millions of dollars. Our final story for today comes from r/legal advice, and the title is, Woman Claims Her Child is My Father's Secret Son and Wants a Third of His $5 million estate. Woo, this can be good. So, our guy's father recently passed away, natural causes, very sad. The father was pretty wealthy. His estate is worth over $5 million. Almost half of that is in liquid cash. He left everything to his two kids, OP and his sister. Pretty straightforward, right? Wrong. About a week after the dad dies, a woman contacts the estate attorney. OP calls her stupid B-word throughout the entire post, so we're going to call her Karen. Yeah, Karen works. Karen claims she had a secret child with OP's father, and she wants the kid to get a third of the estate. That's over $1.6 million. Now, at first, this isn't completely out of the question. Karen is apparently the daughter of someone OP's dad went to high school with, so they knew each other. Maybe dad had an affair. Maybe there is a secret kid. It happens. OP is willing to entertain the possibility. But then OP learns one very important fact about his father. 15 years ago, OP's dad was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and he had both of his testicles removed. Both of them. Gone. So unless this secret child is at least 14 years old, it is literally, biologically, medically impossible for this kid to be his father's. You see where this is going? OP decides to meet with Karen anyway, just to see how ridiculous this is going to get. Karen shows up with her kid. The kid is 9 years old. 9. 6 years younger than biologically possible. And according to OP, the kid looks nothing like his father, not even a little. But Karen is committed to this scam. She demands the kid's, quote, rightful share of the estate, over $1.6 million, 9 years of back child support, and additional cash payments, and she threatens to sue if they don't comply. The estate lawyer, bless him, stays calm. He says, sure, if the kid passes a DNA test, we'll add him to the will. Seems reasonable, right? Karen refuses. She says she doesn't need to do a DNA test because she has a secret letter from OP's father acknowledging the kid as his own. Okay, cool. Show us the letter. She refuses to provide it. So let me get this straight. You claim to have a secret letter proving paternity, but you won't show it. You refuse to do a DNA test, and you're demanding over $1 million for a kid that is literally impossible to be his. The audacity, the absolute audacity. The meeting ends with the lawyer basically telling Karen to get out and don't come back until you're ready to do a DNA test. Karen storms out, screaming about seeing them in court. OP is stressed, but confident. There's no way this holds up legally. But scammer's gonna scam, right? After the meeting, OP's lawyer sends Karen a cease and desist letter. Stop contacting us, leave us alone. Karen's response? She starts blowing up OP's phone. Voicemails, texts, dozens of them. OP saves every single one and forwards them to the estate attorney. Smart move. Meanwhile, OP's sister decides to do some investigating. She tracks down Karen's parents, gets in touch with them. Turns out Karen hasn't spoken to her own parents in years, but they're willing to talk. And they drop a bombshell. This is not the first time Karen has pulled this scam. When this kid was born 9 years ago, Karen pulled the exact same stunt with another man. Claimed the kid was his, demanded money. And you know what that guy did? He paid her. He didn't even demand a DNA test, just gave her money to make her go away. So Karen got paid once for this scam, and she thought, hey, let's try it again, but this time with a dead guy who can't defend himself, and for way more money. The greed, the absolute shameless greed. OP forwards all this information, the harassment, the previous scam, to his attorney. The attorney sends one final letter to Karen. Do a DNA test or pound sand. And suddenly, Karen backs down. Completely. She calls the estate attorney and says she misunderstood the situation. She no longer believes her son is OP's father's child. Case closed. No lawsuit, no DNA test, no $1 million payout. Karen slinks away, probably to try the scam on someone else. Okay, so the scam itself isn't surprising. Inheritance scams happen all the time. What's shocking is that guy 9 years ago who just paid her. Dude, DNA tests cost like $100. You can get them at Walgreens. But this guy just forked over money because she said the kid was his? That guy is the reason Karen thought she could get away with this again. He enabled her. Also, major props to OP's sister for doing the detective work. Without her tracking down Karen's parents, this could have dragged on for months. The audacity of using a child as a pawn in your scam. Using your own son to try and steal money from a dead man's family. Absolutely shameless. But hey, at least OP and his sister get to keep their father's estate. They clearly deserved it more than this scam artist. All right, everyone. Those were today's 3 absolutely insane Reddit stories. Let's recap. Story 1, a guy nearly drowns his friend, then tries to sue him for $50,000 with a fake legal letter. Story 2, a mentally ill conspiracy theorist accuses an innocent man of being a child predator, and the cops do basically nothing. And story 3, a woman tries to scam millions from a dead man's kids using a child that is literally biologically impossible to be his. Reddit, you never disappoint. So, what do you think? Which story was the craziest? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, and how could you not, these stories are wild, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. We post new Reddit stories every week, and trust me, they only get crazier from here. Thanks for watching Reddit Rewind. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.